when we reflect on the action of the divine force and its ability to impact the individual and transform aspects of his life, we are frequently met with the skepticism of those who do not have the experience. How can one explain colors to a person who is blind from birth? How can music be explained to someone who is deaf? In the evolutionary progression, beings can only respond to forces, vibrations, and beings they can experience within their own level of receptivity. They may not have the experience of the divine force within their own recognition. That, however, does not mean that it does not exist and does not make itself known to and experienced by those who have developed the power of such receptivity. We can take an example that modern society is aware of. The human range of perception is limited. We have now established that certain animals can perceive sounds and colors outside the range that humans perceive them. We have also ascertained that some forms of existence live at what we call the microscopic level, and we can see them, in some cases, only through their collective form, such as in the growth of colonies of algae or mold. With the use of extreme magnification, we can even identify that there are existences that thrive and even impact human life, health, and well-being. We recognize bacteria that coexist in our intestines and which are essential to effective human digestive processes. There are also bacteria that can create tremendous imbalances in our lives, including illness and even death of the body. Mitochondria, the intracellular energy pumps in our body, seem to have actually originated as bacteria which invaded the cells, but instead of being destroyed, created a symbiotic relationship with humans, so that our bodies provide them nutrients and a safe, sheltered environment, and they generate energy that runs the cellular structures of our lives. In past ages, the idea of living beings that could interact with us without being visible to us was dismissed as a fantasy. Fantasy no longer. As we grow our capacity to experience things outside the normal range of human senses, we are able to learn about other forms of life that coexist in the world with us, both those that do not directly interact with us and those that have dramatic impacts in our lives. It is not a very great leap, then, to recognize that just as there are beings that we cannot see but which interact with us, that there are also forces and conscious entities that also do so. We cannot see electricity or magnetism or gravity, but they clearly impact us. The Vedic rishis and modern-day practitioners of yoga have experiences that are considered to be outside our normal daily recognition. The recounting of these experiences and the similarity they seem to bear to each other makes it much more conceivable that these are real, identifiable phenomena, and that they can be received, supported, and can thereby provide support as the planetary manifestation unfolds with forces far more complex, far larger, far more detailed than anything that the human mind is able to create. The working of the divine power is something palpable, concrete, and overwhelmingly real to those who experience its action. There are ways to tune the being and create receptivity that aid the advent of this power. The changes that come about during the process are also something the spiritual seeker can experience and validate. Sri Aurobindo notes, quote, "The mechanical movements are always more difficult to stop by the mental will, because they do not in the least depend upon reason or any mental justification, but are founded upon association, or else a mere mechanical memory and habit. The practice of rejection prevails in the end, but with personal effort only it may take a long time. If you can feel the divine power working in you, then it should become easier. There should be nothing inert or tamasic in the self-giving to the guidance, and it should not be made by any part of the vital into a plea for not rejecting the suggestions of lower impulse and desire. There are always two ways of doing the yoga. One by the action of a vigilant mind and vital seeing, observing, thinking, and deciding what is or is not to be done. Of course, it acts with the divine force behind it, drawing or calling in that force, for otherwise nothing much can be done. But still it is the personal effort that is prominent and assumes most of the burden. The other way is that of the psychic being, the consciousness opening to the divine, not only opening the psychic and bringing it forward, but opening the mind, the vital, and the physical, receiving the light, perceiving what is to be done, feeling and seeing it done by the divine force itself, and helping constantly by its own vigilant and conscious assent to and call for the divine working. Usually there cannot but be a mixture of these two ways until the consciousness is ready to be entirely open, entirely submitted to the divine's origination of all its action. It is then that all responsibility disappears, and there is no personal burden on the shoulders of the sadhak." End quote. Reference, Sri Aurobindo, Bases of Yoga, Chapter 2, Faith, Aspiration, Surrender, pages 30 to 31.